like to start by standing, remove your hats for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, introduce you a few people real quick. To my left, our solicitor, Keith Bidley-Meyer. We got the supervisor for building and zoning, Bo Fleming. Sitting in for our stenographer, Cindy Oliveira, is Kimberly Chatburn. I'll call the board. Mark DeMarcus. Here. Colleen Dunn. Here. Jim McMahon here. Okay, let's get started on the agenda. Up first is Carmen S. Trinidad and James J. Evans Sanchez. Please come on up. If you're talking into the microphone at the podium, please make sure the green light's on. No. Bo's going to help you out with that.
All right, green means go. Good evening, board. Joseph Consul here for Carmen Trinidad and James Evans Sanchez, who are standing to my left. They are the owners of Trinidad Tires. They've had a lease for this space since 2019.
Counselor,
Yes.
Do you have your mail-ins? For
Yes, sir.
Would you hand them to the solicitor when you get a chance, please?
So that's the date that was posted?
That's the posting date on the... We have photos of the posting.
Yeah, he has one right here. Is that,
Yeah.
is that,
That's the posting date, right?
okay. So that's the date that was posted?
That's the posting date on the... We have photos of the posting.
Yeah, he has one right here. As required, and the attorney for applicant has submitted the proof of mailings to the adjoining or abutting property owners. Thank you.
Okay.
All
proceed.
right, Joseph Consul Madison, again here with Carmen Trinidad and James Evans Sanchez to my left. The holders of a lease for the property located at 1100 Veterans Highway in Bristol, PA. We're here because my clients have been running this tire shop since 2019. Prior to that, it was an automotive shop as well. They took the lease over, or they took a lease out in 2019 to operate as a tire shop. And since that time, they have, actually since 2022, as my client could attest, they have been asked and cited for the external storage of tires and have been working to try to ascertain a solution that would be palatable to Bristol. And the solution that they came up with is the storage of these tires in storage containers that are next to the property. And the photos we submitted and the photos I have tonight will show how those tires are being stored now. And the hope is that with this solution in place, that it's a palatable solution that the board can approve to allow them to keep the tires on premises, as it's a necessary corollary to their use of the property as a tire shop. Do you have the photos that we had submitted, or should I pass them around? I've got copies for everyone.
Bring them on up.
All right.
Okay. What I'll do is, if you don't have any pre-marked exhibits, I'll just mark these as applicant one. Yeah. Is that okay?
So we'll call those applicant one. And I'll just briefly call my client, Mr. James Sanchez, to walk you all through the storage of the tires and what these photos represent. So.
I do.
Mr. Sanchez, could you review these photos with the board and explain to them what they represent?
First off, good afternoon.
How you doing?
So the first page what we're looking at is the first two pictures are of the notice that we were provided by the township in regards to this hearing today. The following pictures are photos from outside the property to, give you guys somewhat of an idea of what the shop looks like from that angle. The second page is photos of what our inventory looks like, what the storage looks like. Let me see. The third page is the inside of the 4 bays. And then the last page what we're looking at is a site plan for the property.
So all these tires that are outside, are you gonna, if we approve this, they're gonna be inside the Connex box, or what are we calling it?
Yes, sir. That's the plan for us to store the inventory inside of the containers.
So what's your relationship with your landlord? You said you leased this thing. What's his what does he think about this whole idea?
He's in attendance.
Yeah.
He needs to translate.
English is not his first language.
Okay. So you don't have a translator.
I can translate for the most part what he's telling you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta be sworn in.
Buenas noches.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Si tú vas a decir la verdad, solamente la verdad, y tú estás jurando para eso.
Sí.
Yes.
So you own the property? These people leased it from you?
Sí.
Yes.
And what's your thinking on the containers?
Dile que yo pienso bien por ello, porque lo que no queremos tener la goma al aire libre.
He said that he thinks that the containers are a good idea to not have the tires stored outside.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
And so, in summary, what we're asking for is approval to store these tires in the containers which are outside of the main building where the tires are actually placed on the cars as part of their tire service.
Okay. That's it? Presentation? No
That's
more
it.
witnesses? Okay. Anybody from the board have any questions? Go for it.
Hi, Bo. Is there any outstanding issues with L&I or the fire marshal's office?
So we have, yes, we do have outstanding issues, but I have been in contact with James on and off for the past 3 years, trying to resolve this issue. We basically have, right now, it's just outdoor storage of, and accumulation of storage of tires that he's in court for. Once this gets resolved, hopefully tonight, that will be put to bed on our part from the L&I. I can't speak for the fire marshal aspect, but building and planning side, that's the only thing we have open.
Thank you. Also, if granted, do you have means and ways to extinguish a potential fire hazard or any other hazard that may exist if something were to happen inside these containers?
Just fire safety.
I'm sorry?
Could you speak to the fire safety question?
So at the moment, we don't have any sort of, fire, sprinklers or inside of the containers or anything like that, but what we can say is, the fire marshal has been there annually and has approved it, didn't see an issue with it.
Okay.
So you said the fire marshal's been there and didn't see any issue with it, so are.
No, the fire
containers there?
marshals, as you know, we have to take they have to come out annually and inspect the property and let us know if they see any issues with the way we operate.
I just want to clarify, the containers aren't there right now?
The containers are on the property right now,
Thank you.
yes.
Is there any accelerants stored in these containers with the tires?
When you say any accelerants, you mean?
Gasoline,
Yeah,
kerosene?
no, inside of the containers is only tires,
That's it, no tires? Okay.
yeah, just tires.
Okay. You said the fire marshal comes out, is there anything he submits to you saying that,
Yeah, if you wanna, so yeah, the slip that we have here, the Township of Bristol Office of the Fire Marshal, and then it has a checklist of everything that, that they reviewed and that they approved.
what's the date that's submitted?
The date on this is the 11th of June, 2024.
All right.
I have a question then. Were the containers there at that time?
Yes.
Anybody else from the board? Anything else to add, Bo?
At the moment, there is 5 containers. No. No.
And those 5 containers are gonna, all your inventory is gonna fit in those 5 containers?
Yes, sir. That's the plan. Yes.
Okay. All right, so no outside inventory on the property whatsoever?
No, sir. Once you guys grant us the approval, the plan is to house all of the tires that we purchased to sell to the public inside of the containers.
All right. So down the road, a fire marshal comes to you and says, you gotta put a sprinkler system in these containers because there's tires and that could possibly ignite. Would you have a problem with doing that?
A problem? No. I mean, if that's something that we would need to do to be compliant, yeah.
All right, so at this time, what's that, Mark?
One question.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the old tires, where do they get stored until you?
The
get rid
old
of
tires,
those?
we recycle our old tires. They come out with trucks to take the old tires off. This is sometimes twice a week, sometimes weekly, depending on how the sales
I
go.
was just wondering how frequent. Okay,
Yeah, for sure.
thanks.
Okay, anybody at this time, anybody from the audience like to come up for or against this application? Sir, come on up. State your name, get sworn in, please.
State your name for me.
Charles Haynes,
H-A-N-E-S.
YNES.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth,
Absolutely.
and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you for hearing me. It's certainly appreciative to have the opportunity to come here and speak before you. I don't know these people here. I have nothing against them, of course, but their business occupies my house. Their business is on what you guys will call Veterans Highway, today known as Route 413 and Winder Drive. That business is right next to my house.
Okay.
Now, the point is, and I'm sure you guys have seen this before, there's been plenty of times, just maybe even last year, there was a fire in Philadelphia, and what did it involve? A mess of tires. Now, we have children out there in that neighborhood. Nobody wants to inhale that type of smoke, nor do we want our streets blocked, nor do we want our houses catching on fire and then us being disposed. The insurance company, let's say their insurance company, is not going to be looking to put us up. They're going to make us go after them before we can take care of our own issues. I don't have a problem voicing my opinion, but this is something that I'm adamant about, and I'm imploring you guys. We cannot have containers stored in a residential neighborhood. Number one, they say they're going to put sprinkler systems in there, and they say they're not going to store accelerants in there. Has anyone ever been into a hospital and seen where they may have biohazardous material? Not saying that they would do that, but it's still a hazard. Has anyone noticed that tires fall under a hazardous condition? Who wants to inhale plumes of black smoke that will be going on day after day until this is rendered and taken care of? Cannot have that in this type of neighborhood. The neighborhood is starting to come back and it's being revitalized. You got a lot of different people of different ethnicities moving into the neighborhood, and everyone's getting along. Nobody wants to have this around here. Some people wanted to come, but they were afraid. Myself, I ain't afraid of anything. If I have to voice my opinion, I'll come here and voice it professionally and peacefully. Right. But we just cannot have containers with tires stored in them. Because as soon as something goes wrong, everyone else is just gonna wash their hands, and then other people are gonna be left dispossessed. I'm imploring you guys, no offense to these people here, but no, enough is enough. We can't keep having these businesses move in here. And I have pictures that I would like to show you here on my phone. There's more than tires out there. There's more than tires. If I can approach, I would love to show these to you.
Yeah.
Am I able to approach?
Yeah, come on up. Okay, so that's, for the record, that's what, trucks back there? Is that what you're showing, or just the tires back there?
Tires, trucks, everything you see back there.
Right.
You got rims back there. More rims back there.
Okay.
Other stuff back there.
Okay.
Look at that. We got a camper back there.
Okay.
I mean, nothing against these people. They're fine business people.
Right.
Again, that we just can't afford to have in this neighborhood. I mean, there's plenty of warehouses going on around here that are all over this place that they could actually use or perhaps even rent. But just storing tires in a container, they have enough containers there now. We don't need any more stored in there. Besides, when they back those trucks in, there's been plenty of times, and I've seen it, and I had to call Pico because the truck driver back then, where they were storing those cars at, not saying them, but the person that had the property, and it still happens to this very day, backed the truck in, and he hit one of the electrical wires, and what did that wire do? It tore the wire off my house, and I had no electricity. I had to wait for 2 days for Pico to come out. And I also was calling the owner up to try to get him to come over and unlock the padlock that he had on there, which he never showed. One of the guys, fortunately, that was in that business came over and gave me the combination. I opened it up, and I let the Pico driver go in, and he went in there and did what he had to do. Otherwise, he was just gonna leave and say, you'll have to wait till the next day when they come in, and then we can address the problem. That's something we don't wanna keep going through. Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Can you address the camper stored in the back, James, please?
So the
The rims too?
yeah, the camper that the gentleman is referring to, that was there for a previous business that was there. So there's two parcels. You have the one that's on Veterans Highway and then the one that's directly behind Veterans Highway. There was another gentleman that was renting that. I can't remember exactly how long it's been since they left, but that was their property. They left that there. And then the trucks that, if I can address the trucks that the gentleman is referring to. The trucks that he's referring to is, again, that was the previous business on that parcel. They were importing cars. We sell tires. There's no reason for us to bring those size trucks into there.
Right. All right, thank you. Anybody else? In the audience, like to come up, you done, Counselor?
Yes, we're done. We received one near neighbor letter, which I'd passed up
Yeah,
to council with non-opposition to our request.
I think the board with the questions we asked up here are, we're a little concerned about the tires but I mean, from my personal opinion, the fire marshal's been there, he looked it over. I mean, he seems to be fine with it. That's the only thing we can go by at this point, so, what is the pleasure of the board? Any motion to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second that motion. I'll call the board. Mark DeMarcus.
Yes.
Colleen Dunn. No. Jim McMahon, yes. All right, there you go.
Thank you, board.
No. Okay, number 2, Bristol Pike Storage LLC. Please come on up.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Werner. I'm with the law firm of Prime Tubell and Maselli, representing the applicant, Bristol Pike Storage LLC. The application before you this evening relates to property located at 6051 Bristol Pike, the zoning of which is commercial. As the board may recall, the applicant previously appeared before you in 2023, March of 2023 to be exact, at which time they were granted several variances in furtherance of their proposal to construct upon the property a self-storage facility.
Excuse me, we need your mail. Do you have your mailings?
We had mailed it in previously.
Okay.
I believe by letter dated January 30th.
While he's doing that, Ms. Warner, do you have a card?
I do.
So we're gonna need the,
It had
The mailings?
I believe I can pull up everything.
okay, the mailings, and if you could, I'll just ask you to email that to me.
Or I can certainly email it to you. Yeah, it was cover letter dated January 30th, sent to Dawn Reagan via UPS overnight. The mailing receipts dated January 17th.
Perfect, January 17th, and then also, that the property was posted. Do you know what date it was posted?
It was posted the same day, the 17th.
17th?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Since the time this board previously granted variances, applicant has gone on to secure preliminary and final land development approval from the Township Council, and the contemplated self-storage facility is currently under construction. We're appearing before you this evening to seek variance relief in connection with 4 wall signs that are proposed to be installed on the building. Specifically, applicant is proposing 3 identification signs, each measuring 67 square feet in area, and 1 each being located on the north, south, and east facades of the building. The 4th sign proposed measures just 3.65 square feet and is to identify the main office of the building. The variance relief that's required is for the total sign area. We're proposing a total building sign area of 204.65 square feet, or a maximum of 100 square feet is permitted. And the second variance is for the required setbacks. We're required to provide 10 feet from a sidewalk for one of the building signs, whereas less than 10 feet is proposed. I have with me tonight one witness, Tracy Urion of Ezzy Signs, applicant sign vendor. She'll be able to go over the specifics of the signs that are proposed and answer any questions. However, before I turn it over to her, there's just a couple items I want to point out. First, with respect to the variance for the total sign area, your code permits a total sign area of either 15% of the exterior of the front building wall or 100 square feet maximum. So a variance is obviously required since we are proposing 204.65 square feet. However, I'd like to take just a moment to speak to that percentage requirement. If we were to look at the signs being proposed in light of that maximum of 15%, the total sign area is only 0.89% of our smallest elevation. And that's the elevation of either the north or the south facade, which is 23,000 square feet. If we were to look at the total sign area against our largest elevation, which measures at 34,000 square feet, the total sign area is only 0.6%. So obviously far less than the maximum of 15% that's permitted under the code. The second thing I want to touch on relates to not what we're proposing, but what we're proposing to remove as compared to the original approval granted by this board in 2023. A portion of the approval you previously granted related to various variances related to 2 proposed billboard signs. Those variances were to permit billboards closer to a residential use than permitted, to allow a greater sign area, to allow a greater height, and to permit the billboards within the required front yard setback. I'm here tonight to happily report that these billboards are no longer proposed. So while we're proposing approximately 100 square feet more of wall signage than what's permitted, we're actually removing roughly 2,400 square feet of signage with the disappearance of those billboard signs. The final thing I want to mention is that the signs proposed this evening have always been shown on the plans. Actually, a larger iteration of these wall signs was shown on the plans that first became before this board and have slightly reduced in size over the course of the application. It was merely an oversight that we never sought the variance relief required for these signs, so that's why we're back here this evening. Without the facade signs, you are going to have a blank building that can't be identified. And as we believe you can see, and as Ms. Urion will testify to, the size of the signs is in keeping with the size of the overall building and ensures safe visibility for our customers. So with that, if I could please have Ms. Urion sworn in.
Tracey, and last name is Urion, Urion. Right hand. Okay.
Swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Ms. Urion, could you please start by just explaining who you are and who you work for?
Sure. I work for Easy Signs. I'm a project manager, been in the sign industry for, if I say 20 years, so I give my age away.
Thank you. And you're familiar with the sign package that was submitted
I
for
am,
this
yes.
property?
Correct.
Could you give a little bit of detail about the signs that are proposed?
Sure, absolutely. They're your typical standard channel letter, constructed of aluminum, raceway mounted, so less penetrations, obviously, for the building. And then the actual cans of the channel letter, aluminum with acrylic faces, trim cap, LED lighting, low voltage.
And there will be no spill onto neighboring properties from the lighting these signs give off?
No, there's no candle foot on channel, like there's no, you don't see it from the ground. It's just visible, just an identification kind of. The parking lot.
Okay.
Parking lots give more.
I gave some dimensions. So each of the identification signs, which read extra space storage, are approximately 67 square feet, including all of, I'll call it the empty space around the individual letters.
Correct.
And then the fourth sign is simply that office sign to
Yes.
identify the office, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Would you agree that my summary of the variance relief being required is correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. The board has the sign package that was submitted with the application. If you have any further questions about the specific details, we're happy to answer them, but that can.
Yeah, my only question was, it's not gonna, there's no light going towards the residential area, and it doesn't seem to be that way. It's on the back side and the front side and the 13 side.
The 3 sides, correct.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Mark?
Will it be illuminated 24/7 or as it nighttime, put it that way?
It'll
All night.
be, I believe it's shut off 1 hour after the facility closes.
Which would be what time again?
I don't remember the exact time. I want to say it was 9 or 10 p.m. It wasn't super late, but it's not a 24/7 facility. And I do believe shutting off lighting was one of the conditions of the land development approval. So, if not, it can be a condition of this approval.
All right, Bo? Ladies? Hi. Come on up.
Kimberly Wilson.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
This is my mother, Nellie. We came today because we received a letter about this meeting.
Yeah,
I guess because our property is right there.
Correct.
Are we the only ones received a letter on that street? Because we don't see nobody else.
No, we did notice, we provided the certified mailing
Okay.
receipts to everyone within the required radius as
Okay.
well as posted on the property.
Okay. We would like to know, why did we receive it? Because the lights were going to be facing our home?
No, we're
or
required to notice all property owners within a certain radius. So if your property abuts the
Mhm.
subject property, you're required to receive notice.
Do you know if they're going to put something there to cover, like, privacy or something when they're done?
I did not represent on the land
Oh,
development plan,
okay.
but I do believe, my office did, but I didn't look at it for purposes of the signage. But I do believe
Okay.
there's a landscape buffer
Okay.
that was previously approved. I can't imagine this getting approved without some type of buffer or shielding.
Oh, okay, because we see 13 totally now since the trees and
Sure,
stuff is
yeah,
totally
no,
gone.
That's typical for most construction,
Mhm.
that you're gonna, clear the site,
Mhm.
grade it, do what you need to in order to construct it. But I do believe it was a condition of the land development approval, that they will be required to provide a landscape buffer.
Okay.
And as we indicated with respect to the signage, none of the signage is facing the properties, it's facing the outer wall weaves.
So it's going to be one in the back.
So there'll be one in the back, one on the front, which are the two short facades. And then one on the east facade, which was, I have this is, for the record, this is the sign package that was submitted.
I was gonna say on the front, here, second page, is the little site plan, so you can see the.
Yeah, so A here, A, B1, and B2 are all the same, it's the extra space storage signs. And you can kind of see the ratio, the scale of it to the building.
This is 13 entrance.
This is proposed, so that is right here, these signs. So it's that sign there, and then that very little, you can barely see an office sign right
Okay.
there, that just designates the office. It's the same on, so as you'll see, there's nothing on, the existing south right now. That's the detail of the sign, and then this is your east elevation and the north elevation.
The north is the back of the street.
North is right up here.
The turnpike.
Yeah, Turnpike.
Oh, okay. Where we at? Pacific.
What is?
We right by it. We
Right back
next
here?
door. We right next door to it.
Right
on the
back
end.
here then?
Mhm.
With that? Yep, that's you. So there's no signs facing your home.
Okay.
And
That
the
okay,
one,
Mom?
would you like to say? You want to, yeah. So this is your property. These are the signs where the green are, so there's nothing facing your property, and I do believe there will be heavy landscaping.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, what is the pleasure of the board, please? I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Colleen Dunn,
Yes.
Mark DeMarcus.
Yes.
Jim McMahon, yes.
Thank
There
you
go,
very
guys.
much.
All right. Last but not least, John Beck, 322 Thorn Ridge Drive. Please come on up. ahead, Bryce.
All right, good evening, Board. Bryce McGuigan from Begley Carlin, here on behalf of the applicant, John Beck. I have with me this evening John, who's sitting in the second row, along with Brian Binney of Jones Engineering, who is Panoni still? Brian Binney, who has designed the plans that you see before you tonight. So anyhow, just want to say thank you for having us. I know it's been somewhat of a long night so far, but we'll do our best to cut through this. The properties together that we're talking about today, there's 3 separate parcels. John is the owner of 2, and he is under contract to purchase the 3rd property. So if you look here, John owns the top 2. Well, actually, can you do me a quick favor here? Actually, sorry, been a long day. It was late night last night. We're on the right plan. So this is the existing features plan. John owns the top 2 parcels. This bottom one right at the corner of Haynes and Route 13, that's the one that John's under contract purchase. And what we're here tonight to do is to basically request variance relief related to essentially 2 lot line change proposals. Like I said, these properties, about 3 acres, a little under in size, part of the C Commercial District. We are not proposing any physical improvements or changes to the properties. The uses will remain the same. The improvements as is will remain the same. This is strictly moving 2 lines on paper. And the reason why we're doing it is essentially because of what you see here. First, I'm going to refer to each of these 3 parcels. The top one here is ending in 257. This middle one is 003, and this bottom one is 001. The parcel line between 257 and 003 cuts right through a building, which for obvious reasons is less than ideal. The parcel line between 003 and 001, it hugs the edge right here, cuts right through what used to be an exit ramp off of Route 13 that was vacated in about 2015 or so. So at the end of the day, what you have here is you have a property that was developed in parcel 001 with a specific eye to the fact that the exit ramp went right behind it. So it's scrunched near the edge of the corner. The parking is basically near the roadway. You're very limited what you can do with that parcel as is. So, Bo, can you do me a favor and slide to the next plan for me? Thank you. So this is what the plan would look like if this relief is approved tonight. We would take the parcel line that originally cuts right through this building, that's essentially going to be the whole parcel of 003, and we slide that up a little bit more to the right of the plan. The parcel line that's between 003 and 001, we're moving that forward more so into 003. The practical impact of this will be a couple things. First, obviously we're not going to have a property line right through a building. This will allow each parcel to be improved with its own individual building, own accessory parking areas, and with 001, this now has additional paving and additional property area where you can maybe do a little bit more with it in the future if need be, which may include having parking in an area that's not literally right on the roadway. So there are lots of practical benefits to this, and the only thing that we need from you today is 10 little variances to allow this to happen. Now again, these variances are simply the natural byproduct of what happens when you move that line and you have impervious that used to be on one side of the line is now on the other side of the line, or a setback that used to be on one side and now it's on the other, that sort of thing. So essentially 9 of the 10 variances that we're requesting are all existing nonconformities. The 10th is essentially not. However, I can go through them if the board would like individually. The 10th variance relates to impervious on one lot, specifically, I believe it's lot 003, because we are adding additional impervious on the right side of the building to lot 3 that used to be on lot 257. And we're also losing some pervious that's right over here that goes to lot 001. So essentially, just because of the way we're maneuvering things around, that results in some additional relief. I will be more than happy.
So what are we talking impervious-wise as far as like overage?
So I've got Brian Binney here who might be able to testify a little bit more to the exact numbers for you if the board is so inclined. But I think first he needs to be sworn in.
I do. How you doing? My name is Brian Binney, currently representing Panoni Associates. I'm a professional licensed land surveyor in the state of Pennsylvania. To get to your questions about the impervious, the existing impervious surface areas for lot 257, which is the middle piece. Existing, it is 93.3%. We're actually reducing that to be 90.2%. So there's some slight reduction in that particular one, but it still exceeds the 70% that's allowable. So that's why we're here. And again, we're not proposing to add any additional impervious surface. The lot number 001, which is the far top one, the existing impervious surface is 50.1%, and the proposed is going to go to 27.3, so that's going to actually be improvement. I'm sorry, that's the corner lot, I'm sorry. That's the corner lot, because we're adding all that pervious, all this pervious area there. And the third lot is lot 03, and that existing is 43.1%, and that is actually going to go up to 80.5%. And again, it's because this building used to be, the lot line used to go through this building, so now we're moving that building over, this lot line over. This lot, the top lot was a much larger lot, so it had a little bit more pervious area in the rear of the property, which because we're moving that lot line over, it removes that.
So at the end of the day, Brian, the impervious overall with respect to the site will remain the same, is that correct?
Correct.
It's just the distribution amongst the parcels changes somewhat because of our change of the lot lines.
Correct, and as anybody who's lived here like we have, we remember when that ramp was there. So in the overall scheme of things, when the ramp got removed, it really removed a whole lot of impervious surface from all three of these lots. And to correct Bryce, that happened in 2017, not 2015.
It's always fun when we correct Bryce.
It's very rare, so you gotta enjoy it while it lasts. Brian, with respect to the remaining variances, special setbacks from Route 13, from Haynes Road, rear yard setbacks, all of those are existing feature or nonconformities, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And we are not changing, exacerbating those or anything of the sort.
That's correct. And in fact, because we're moving the corner lot line, we're increasing the side yard setback, which really was only 4.2 feet at the time. So we're improving that situation.
And with respect to the other lot line, essentially, there was non-conforming 0-foot setbacks because it went through the building, right?
Correct.
All right. And there are no side yard setback issues with respect to the new lot lines, correct?
Correct. We're not really asking for any relief for side yard setbacks. The special setback off of Haynes Road is already non-conforming use on the corner lot. The other two lots, they meet the setback from Route 13, but they do not meet the setback in the rear of the property.
So with that, if the board has any questions, we'll be more than happy to go through any individual variants at issue, or if the board has any other questions with respect to the
I mean,
plans.
as practical as this sounds, is Mr. Beck plan on keeping these properties? Is it?
Why don't I have Mr. Beck come up and answer that? John, you want to come on up? Okay, sworn in.
Yes, I do.
So John, you heard the chairman's question. As we sit here today, do you have any specific plans for these properties?
No, basically, we just want to move the lines to get it out of it's for future references, I guess. I mean, I guess long-term, we'd rather just do it now since we got when they did the all turns, they took that out. So we're just really just trying to make all the properties trying to equal.
So let me ask you a couple of quick questions here, John. How long have you owned those top two properties? Approximately.
Probably over 50 years.
What's that?
Probably over 50 years.
All right. And so with respect to this other property, you're basically purchasing that to, I guess, add on to the little strip that you already own, correct?
Correct. Yes.
All right. And so at the end of the day, was this something that you were essentially planning to do at some point with regard to the top two properties? Is that a fair statement? With moving the line so that it doesn't go right through your building?
Oh, yes, yeah.
And obviously when this opportunity came to purchase the other property, you figured, hey, you're already coming before this board, you're already going before council, just add that, make it easier, correct?
Correct.
And the whole point is, like you said, you've done this for many decades, you just want to make this a little bit more, shall we say, conforming with the local area and what's more standard, is that right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm just thinking, planning of doing this for resale of the property, and,
There are no current resale plans.
all right. Okay, any other questions from the board? Anybody from the audience? Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All right. Colleen Dunn. Mark DeMarcus.
Yes.
Jim McMahon. Yes.
Thank you very much.
There you go. I need a motion to adjourn, please. All right, all in favor? Ayes have it.